the Grammy goes to Mr. Controversy, Eminem.
From the brutal, harsh streets of Detroit to the top of the pyramid of global stardom, Eminem's journey is absurd and unapologetically real.
The Oscar goes to Eminem.
His controversial lyrics and the twisted genius of his alter ego, Slim Shady, pushed the boundaries of what rap could be.
You was like crazy back then, like real crazy.
Slim Shady wasn't just a persona, he was a knife at the heart of societal norms, shocking and enthralling audiences around the world.
His lyrics are totally socially unacceptable.
Amid the chaos of fame, drug abuse, and non-stop controversy, Eminem's art stands as a brutal self-portrait, mirroring his messy life and never-ending quest for authenticity.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, you know what time it is? It's time for you to take this one-hit wonder, white trash, F Eminem.
Oh, F Eminem.
This documentary dives headfirst into the circus that is Eminem's life, peeling back the layers to reveal the man behind the myth.
I was embarrassed. I was humiliated.
Thank you.
I cried. You know, I have to make sure that my kids don't hear it.
There's always going to be people that love you and people that hate you.
This is the story of Eminem. Eminem, born Marshall Bruce Mathers III on October 17, 1972, in St. Joseph, Missouri, had a rough start. His dad took off when he was a baby, leaving him to be raised by his mom, Debbie. This hit him hard and fueled his music with themes of abandonment and anger. His attempts to contact his dad went unanswered, deepening his feelings of rejection and loneliness.
I never knew him, so...
You never met him since?
Never met him, never knew him.
Do you want to, or?
I don't know. Some people ask me that. I don't think I do. I can't understand how, if my kids moved to the edge of the earth, I'd find them. No doubt in my mind. No money, no nothing. If I had nothing, I'd find my kids. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse.
Debbie had her own issues, battling mental health problems and substance abuse, which made home life chaotic. She was erratic and controlling, often clashing with Eminem. It's reported she had a personality disorder, adding to the instability. She'd even fake illnesses and over-medicate him, making his childhood even more messed up. With his dad gone, his mom's mental health issues, and the tough reality of growing up poor in a rough neighborhood, Eminem became a resilient and determined guy. These early hardships gave him plenty of material for his music, resonating with millions who connected with his early struggles and later victories.
This used to be a store called A.O. Price. I used to go up here every day. My mother used to give me $2 for cigarettes. I used to go up to the store, steal the cigarettes, and keep the money for lunch the next day.
Before he dropped out in 9th grade, Eminem's mom, Debbie, estimated he had attended 30 different schools.
So you had to change schools every couple months?
Yeah, I would change schools 2-3 times a year, and that was probably the roughest part.
Eminem's school years were rough and unstable. Constant moves meant he attended way too many schools, making it impossible to make friends or keep up with schoolwork.
I mean, we changed schools a lot. We would change school. The longest I had been in a school was like 3 months.
By high school, he had repeated 9th grade 3 times due to bad grades and skipping classes. Bullying and a lack of interest in school led him to drop out at 17.
Yeah, there was a lot of instances that I would...
You got beat up coming home from school?
Beat up in the bathroom, beat up in the hallways, shoved in the lockers, just for the most part, man, just being the new kid.
One of the worst incidents happened when he was just 9, when a bully named D'Angelo Bailey beat him up so badly that Eminem ended up in a coma for several days. This attack, which he later described in his song Brain Damage, left a lasting mark. His mom tried to sue the school for not protecting him, but the case was dismissed. This traumatic event only added to his rebellious attitude and defiance. Eminem's first taste of hip-hop came from his uncle Ronnie, who introduced him to the genre with Ice-T's Reckless from the Breakin' soundtrack. This sparked his love for rap.
I just loved hip hop growing up as a kid. I just, you know, it was like it spoke to me more than any other music I had ever heard before, you know, from early like Ice-T to Fat Boys, and then LL Cool J, Run DMC, Beastie Boys.
In 1991, Ronnie committed suicide, which hit Eminem hard. Ronnie was a father figure to him, making his loss unbearable. Eminem references Ronnie's death in songs like Cleaning Out My Closet and Stan.
What makes people from Detroit different? Just because, like, in our city, there's not a whole lot to do. So people are like, there's not a lot here, you know? We're just starting to get things here, so it's like, you know, there's a lot of tension in the city.
Eminem said he would turn on the radio and write songs while his mother was out playing bingo. He began rapping at 14 and adopted the name Eminem, you know, from the little chocolate thingy, which would turn into Eminem for fear of being sued.
I used to sell my tapes, my local tapes up in that store right there, Golden Jet Records right there.
Skipping class one afternoon, Eminem went to Osborne High to promote an amateur rap show. There, he met Proof, and the two immediately started freestyling on the sidewalk. This spontaneous rap session marked the beginning of a strong friendship and musical collaboration.
One of my longtime friends, Deshaun Holtman, he's a rapper too, his name's Proof. He used to take me up in the lunchroom at Osborne, and like, the kids would just like bet money and stuff. Like, we used to battle. I used to battle like a lot of kids in the school, a lot of other rappers and stuff. I used to go up here and pass out flyers for when I used to paint on clothes. Pass out flyers everywhere. And plus, when I used to do talent shows and stuff at other schools, I would come up here and pass out flyers for those too.
Rapping offered him an escape, and he developed his Slim Shady alter ego, which gave Eminem the perfect vehicle to plow all his pent-up anger into, unleashing a style and flow that few have ever truly grasped.
And I finally found something that, yeah, this kid over here, you know, he may have more chicks, like he may have better clothes or whatever, but he can't do this like me. You know what I mean? He can't write what I'm writing right now. And it started to feel like, you know, maybe Marshall's getting a little respect.
While working as a cook at Gilbert's Lodge in St. Clair Shores, another bordering suburb, he got deeper into the hip-hop scene, performing at local clubs, traveling to New York for rap contests, writing his own songs, and constantly listening to hip-hop on headphones while he worked the grill.
I would make sure that I didn't have to work till 4 o'clock because I was going to the hip hop shop every Saturday. So every Saturday for me was, and this is early 20s, St. Andrews Hall on Friday night, Saturday, hip hop shop. Yeah, well, that's what happened. I started battling, and then in the hip hop shop, the first battle that we had there, I won it.
Was it a long uphill battle?
Yeah, it was when I first started out, when I first showed up, you know, when I first started grabbing mics in little clubs and stuff like that.
For a white kid with a rootless background, hip-hop had become a solace and inspiration. His dream of becoming a white rapper seemed ludicrous to some, but there was cause for optimism.
When I started being able to put songs together and I started like, you know, figuring out like, well, I might be almost as good as that rapper, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna keep going.
The Beastie Boys, a clownish former hip-hop/punk band from New York, had by then scored a major hit with License to Ill, an album that consumed Eminem.
And there was also, you know, the fact of the no getting away from fact that I am white, you know, and this is predominantly black music, you know, and people telling me you don't belong, like you're not gonna succeed because you're this color. Then you wanna show those people that, you know, that you can.
Eminem was gaining respect as a talented rhymer in clubs and open mic contests, but his personal life was full of turmoil. He constantly clashed with his mother and his girlfriend, Kim Scott, with whom he had a baby on Christmas Day, 1995. His mother would call him at work so often that the waitresses started hanging up on her. Each call darkened his mood, prompting him to put on his headphones and tune out. The anger he bottled up came out in his rage-filled lyrics, which he often scribbled down on napkins while working at Gilbert's Lodge. Skipping over his group efforts, let's focus on his solo career. In 1996, he released his first EP, Infinite, through a local Detroit label. Despite his local reputation, the record didn't sell well, only about 1,000 copies, and he ended up giving many away. But, as we know, this was just the beginning of his story.
I was an underground MC for years, you know. I was doing my thing. I was in a lot of rap contests, you know. In Detroit, I won a lot of contests, a lot of battles in Detroit. Took second place in the Scribble Jam in Cincinnati. Went to LA for the Rap Olympics. Was constantly battling, you know. That was my thing. That was the only way for me to get known. You know, that's the only way I knew how to get known.
In the spring of 1997, he recorded the Slim Shady EP. The EP, with frequent references to drug use, sexual acts, mental instability, and violence, also explored the more serious themes of dealing with poverty and marital and family difficulties, and revealed his sadistic, self-deprecating, and violent alter ego, Slim Shady. At the time, Eminem and Kim Scott were living in a crime-infested neighborhood, with their house getting robbed multiple times. After getting fired from Gilbert's Lodge and being kicked out of their home, Eminem decided to go all in on rap. He took a gamble and headed to Los Angeles for the 1997 Rap Olympics, hoping to change his life.
And I was like super discouraged. I just got evicted from my house. Had to break in through the back of the house. The dude that we was paying rent to, he wasn't paying the rent with it. So one day this is literally the day before I go to the Rap Olympics. So I had to break into the house through the back window, which was my old window. Broke in, slept on the floor, got up the next day, went to the Rap Olympics, and by the first prize was $500, and I needed that $500.
At the Rap Olympics, however, things didn't go as planned, and Eminem placed second.
Man, and I lost, and I was fucking devastated.
Even though he lost, he still caught the attention of an intern at Interscope Records who asked for a copy of the Slim Shady EP.
And then when I was in the Rap Olympics back in '97, I took second place in the Rap Olympics and gave my tape to some kids at Interscope. And Interscope gave the tape to Jimmy Iovine. Jimmy Iovine liked it, and he gave it to Dre. He played it for Dre. And Dre liked it, and Dre was looking for me, you know.
When Dr. Dre heard the album, he knew he had to find the person behind it.
And I'm back in Detroit now, fucked, right? I have nothing, like nowhere to go. And I get the call, and I'm like, oh shit, you know, this is about to happen.
M, being a huge fan of NWA and Dre, was super nervous to work with him, but as we all know, they ended up being the best of buddies.
I feel like me and Dre got a chemistry similar to him and Snoop's.
This meeting was the start of Eminem's incredible journey to fame.
The first day me and Dre got down together, we did 3 songs, and My Name Is was the second song that we did. And we was in there, it was like, he played me the beat, and it was like instantly I just started saying it, like, you know, the beat started talking to me like, hi, my name, like I started like doing the hook, and he looked at me kind of funny like, you gonna use that as a hook? You know? It was like, then the more I started saying it, the engineers in the studio started saying it, you know what I'm saying? Everybody was like, oh, hi, my name is, and I was like, yo, that's him right there. So I just went in and like freestyled some verses, and then I hadn't had them wrote yet, and just went home that same night and just wrote them, and then came back the next day.
And when I saw Dre nodding his head and laughing at some of the things that I was saying and whatnot, I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I made it. That's finally when I, you know, realized this is my big break.
And so, in February 1999, the Slim Shady LP was released. By the end of the year, it had gone triple platinum and was one of the top albums of the year. This was Eminem's first album with Dre and marked his first big commercial success.
Yeah, well, it came out great. The album's amazing, and it's doing amazing.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for you to take this one-hit wonder, White Trash.
Oh, yeah? Come down, guy. Come down here and say, talk to me, guy. You think so? Talk to me, little girl. Talk to me, little girl. Hey,
this guy.
Hey, you little girl. Oh, yeah? Check my album, little baby. Check my album. Listen to my album, sir. You obviously don't know hip-hop, and you don't belong judging it. So shut up.
What? I don't want to know hip-hop.
Shut up. You'll hang up on this guy. This guy's an idiot.
You don't want to talk to this guy?
Nah, I don't want to talk to this guy. He's an idiot.
All right, I gotta hang up on you.
F Eminem.
Oh, F Eminem.
The Slim Shady LP starts a trend that becomes Eminem's trademark. The split personalities of Slim Shady and Eminem. Hatred towards his mother. Hostility towards his wife, Kim, especially in Bonnie and Clyde, where he describes cutting her throat and dumping her in the ocean. Love for his daughter, Haley, and poking fun at celebrities.
My music, for me, my music is like therapy for me. You know what I'm saying? It's a way for me to get stuff off my chest.
These themes are all present in his next album, the Marshall Mathers LP, released a year later. It sold 1.76 million copies in its first week, making it the fastest-selling rap album ever. It sold twice as much as Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style, and even beat Britney Spears' record for highest one-week sales by any solo artist.
Eminem's record-breaking album, the Marshall Mathers LP, has garnered the rapper 4 Grammy nominations. And as a result, many people are outraged.
And the Grammy goes to Mr. Controversy, Eminem.
Yeah!
His persona of Slim Shady reaches new heights in The Real Slim Shady, where his disdain for mainstream artists like NSYNC, Britney Spears, and Backstreet Boys becomes more intense.
You have your boy bands and your Britney Spears and your NSYNCs that want to be role models to kids and things like that, which is cool, or whatever, but, you know, that's their business, but that's not real, and that's not how the world is. I would rather get in front of a camera and not change anything.
In Kim, a 6-minute rage fest, Eminem's hatred for his wife is brutally clear, focusing more on screaming and violence than lyricism.
Oh, man, still low-key was wrong.
That was quite experience.
Why, guys? Just why did you want to?
This song is so raw that some parts are censored even in the explicit version.
I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. I cried. You know, I had to make sure that my kids don't hear it. And then I always just wonder what people think of me, you know? It's not a good feeling.
What made you cry?
Just the lyrics and the fact that he is supposed to be the man that loves me and is supposed to protect me, you know, from being hurt. And here he is completely and totally disrespecting me in the worst way possible in front of millions of people. And in front of our kids, my family, my friends. And now it just makes me angry because of what everyone thinks of me and the fact that now I realize, you know, there must not have been much love there, you know, for him to do that. And I wasted so many years thinking there was. And I went upstairs in my bathroom and I slit my wrist and ended up in the hospital.
What does she have in her hand? Razor blade. She's got a razor blade in her hand. She's letting me use it again.
I'm Back shows him sympathizing with the Columbine shooters just a year after the horrific event. His new enemy isn't poverty, but the media and public accusing him of being a bad influence on kids.
It was always something dealing with the lyrical content or dealing with me being white, you know? And I was kind of like, you know, what the fuck? This is bullshit to me because, you know, I felt like I was being overlooked as far as like having any talent or anything. I felt like my talent was like secondary and everybody wanted to keep talking about my lyrics, you know?
In Kill You, he raps about R-wording his own mother, and Stan delves into the dangerous obsession of his fans. One thing is clear, Eminem has no boundaries.
A lot of times I say things just to get a rise out of critics and just to get a rise out of people and to make them
annoy the world.
Yeah.
Eminem never wasted time bragging about his sexual prowess, crimes, or money. Instead, he flipped the script, presenting himself as destitute but never pitiable. He made sure you would love to hate him.
It just seems like ever since he's got, you know, famous, blew up, our relationship went downhill from there, you know. He became arrogant and cocky, and everything that he did for me or the kids, he has to be praised for, you know. And, you know, he's so used to getting so much attention, people praising him for his work, that he expects that when he comes home, and it's not the same. I don't look at him like that, you know.
In the late 90s and early 2000s, rap was making a hard turn from glorifying crime to reveling in luxury and party anthems. Eminem's raw, vulgar tirades about murder cut through the emerging trend like a knife. If you're rich, he's dirt poor. If you have a big penis, he's mutilated himself. If you have a nice house, he will burn it down just to piss you off. His brutally honest chaos set him apart in an era growing soft around the edges.
Everybody who I thought I was gonna piss off with this album, I pissed off. Everything went according to plan, I guess you could say.
Special interest groups took to the streets, holding marches and protests against him. Meanwhile, his lyrics were being read aloud in the U.S. Congress, with many politicians demanding censorship.
See, we're not here to make an example at all. We're here to make music and to entertain people. That's it.
We're not here to care. You know what I'm saying? We're not here to care about, you know, what somebody who doesn't like us, what they think or what their opinion is of our music. You know what I mean? I mean, there's always going to be people that love you and people that hate you. You know, you take the good with the bad, and that's what I do. You know,
that's the way to do it.
In short, the Marshall Mathers LP became one of rap's most influential albums ever. Slim Shady wasn't just a persona to attack celebrities anymore, but became Eminem's most powerful weapon against his critics. On September 7th, 2000, the universe delivered a spectacle we don't get to witness anymore. Hell, it was a first, even back then.
Thank you, Keenan and Damon.
Picture the scene, the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards, and who struts onto the stage but Jim Carrey, the human cartoon character himself. He's doing his signature shtick, throwing out quirky, rapid-fire jokes like confetti. The crowd's eating it up, right?
Listen, Jesus, I don't like what I see. All I ask is that you listen to me.
And then, just as his minute of silliness is wrapping up, he drops the bombshell.
But I didn't want to be here. Then they told me that I could introduce Eminem.
He's there to introduce the real Slim Shady. He's met with a tidal wave of applause, which, let's be real, is par for the course. But what happens next? Jim Carrey, with that devilish grin, leans into the mic and says,
He scares me. I've got to be honest. I enjoy his music, but he scares me.
Now back then, this wasn't just another throwaway joke. The idea of Eminem being scary wasn't some outlandish stretch. It was a widely held belief.
His lyrics are totally socially unacceptable.
M was the lyrical boogeyman of the new millennium, spitting verses that sent PTA meetings into a frenzy and had suburban parents clutching their pearls. Carrey's quip wasn't just funny, it was an echo of the collective unease. The laughter, That was the nervous chuckle of a society both terrified and mesmerized by the man who dared to rap the unspeakable. Here's what you need to grasp. The level of fame Eminem reached back then is leagues beyond what today's celebrities can fathom. Eminem wasn't just another rapper. He was the architect who dragged underground hip-hop into the bedrooms of suburban white teens. Fast forward to November 8th, 2002. 8 Mile hits theaters and blows up, a critical triumph most musicians turned actors can only dream of. Just 17 days before this cinematic milestone, Eminem drops Lose Yourself. This track didn't just boost the movie's success, it crowned the zenith of Eminem's career. No other song in his arsenal has ever reached the same stratospheric acclaim. From its instantly recognizable opening notes to the now iconic Mom's Spaghetti line, Lose Yourself is an anthem for the driven, a modern-day eye of the tiger. It's a 5-minute masterclass in the spirit of battle rap, capturing the raw essence of rapping for the pure, unadulterated thrill of it. And let's not forget it bagged him an Oscar, cementing his place as the first hip-hop artist to ever snag that golden statue.
And the Oscar goes to... Woo! The Oscar goes to Eminem, Jeff Bass.
Eminem's Lose Yourself isn't just a song, it's a cultural touchstone, an adrenaline shot to the soul of anyone who's ever dared to chase a dream. On May 21st, 2002, Eminem unleashed The Eminem Show. It quickly became the fastest-selling album of all time, until Taylor Swift's 1989 dethroned it many years later. Tracks like Without Me, Superman, and Business showcase Eminem in full clown mode, taking shots at politicians, trash-talking celebrities, roasting his mom, slut-shaming, and flaunting his lyrical skills with a smirk. Sometimes these goofy tracks feel like he's just checking boxes. Then there's White America, where he tackles being the biggest voice for white suburban kids. Say Goodbye to Hollywood explores the toll of fame, and Till I Collapse is a gritty anthem about his indispensable role in hip-hop. But to fully understand The Eminem Show, rewind to June 2000. Eminem, still with Kim, catches her making out with another guy outside a Detroit bar. Never one to back down, he pistol whips the dude and earns his first felony charge of the year. The second charge comes after a brawl with the Insane Clown Posse. These charges threaten to put 28-year-old Marshall Mathers in jail. The threat of prison was a wake-up call. He ditched booze and pills, channeling his angst into his music.
Well, let's see. For the past 2 years, I put out a fucking album. I got arrested. I got divorced. I got fucking arrested. I got out. I got off. The concept of the album is my life on blast.
Sing for the Moment, sampling Aerosmith's Dream On, argues that his positive changes are worth the hate. He paints vivid pictures of kids growing up in rough circumstances, using his music as a lifeline. In Haley's song, he sings about the fear of losing his daughter, delving into his messy divorce with Kim and prioritizing his love for Haley. Cleaning Out My Closet is where he tears into the media and his mother. The Eminem Show is the work of a man standing at the edge of the abyss, staring down his fears and channeling his pain into pure, unadulterated art.
To be original and to let people know that I have nothing to hide, and in doing that, maybe put a little too much of my personal life out there. So now it's like, fuck it, I can't stop now. I might as well, whatever. It's writing about what I know, and yeah, I guess now it's really opening the curtains, and like the show is really begun.
For most fans, Eminem's prime climaxed with this album. His first 3 albums, the Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP, and the Eminem Show, perfectly encapsulate the 3 major facets of Eminem: the clown, the confessor, and the crusader. If his career had ended here, it would have been a fitting encore. However, Eminem's story doesn't end here. At this point, Eminem is still perched high atop his empire, either obliterating careers with his diss tracks or rocketing rappers to stardom with his endorsement. His presence in the rap game is unpredictable, devastating, and impossible to ignore.
Girl, you was like crazy back then, like real crazy.
He also lit up Dr. Dre's legendary album, 2001, with the iconic Forgot About Dre. But Eminem wasn't just a solo act. He was also part of D12, a merry band of misfits that included Bizarre, Conniva, Swifty, Con Artist, and his ultimate hype man, Proof. They dropped 2 albums, Devil's Night and D12 World, both of which showcase some of Eminem's most unhinged verses.
I kind of went back to the concept, the original D12 concept, Proof, his idea of just like, we need to just talk about the most bizarre, off-the-wall, ridiculous shit that we can think of and say it.
Today, D12 is a shadow of its former self, now missing both Eminem and the late Proof.
Proof was the glue that binded us all together, right? He did so much shit behind the scenes that I didn't even realize, and did things to keep us a group and to motivate us.
It was his baby, man. It was his idea. He orchestrated it. He made sure he kept everybody in line. You know what I'm saying? And it just was never the same, man.
And let's not forget Shady Records, the label Eminem co-founded with his manager, Paul Rosenberg. Shady Records catapulted 50 Cent into the stratosphere with his debut album, Get Rich or Die Tryin'. It sold a staggering 800,000 copies in its first week and eventually moved 12 million units. Obi Trice also found his footing on Shady Records with his debut, Cheers, which sold 2 million copies without even needing a radio single. Fast forward to today, and Shady Records is limping along with a roster of semi-unknown artists. But back then, for 4 straight years, Eminem and his label dominated pop culture. But then things started to change. Drugs got the best of him, and his music started to sound like a bad hangover.
I was a functioning addict, so I was kind of the worst, an addict of the worst kind. So nobody really knew what was going on. I think just people around me saw like something ain't right.
The climax of this decline was Eminem's 4th solo album, Encore, released in November 2004. Sure, it sold 21 million copies and went 5-time platinum because, well, it's Eminem in 2004. But let's call a spade, the album was a dud. The lead single, Just Lose It, was a tepid mess, and the rest of the tracks followed suit. For the first time, an Eminem album didn't snag the Grammy for Best Rap Album, and rightly so. It was a far cry from his best work. Then came the collapse. After a 2005 performance in Detroit, Eminem pulled the plug on his European tour dates and checked himself into rehab.
When I went to rehab, I wasn't really ready, right, to get clean. I know the other people around me were ready for me to get clean, but I wasn't ready I wasn't ready myself. So I think I stayed in rehab for maybe a total of 2 weeks, and checked myself out. And I think I was convinced at that time, like, I'm not an addict. I even had trouble like saying it in group meetings and shit like that. Like, pretty much when I got home from rehab, I started taking Vicodin, maybe like a week later, if even that. And, one drug leads to another.
The next 5 years were a wasteland. He nearly kicked the bucket after overdosing on methadone, collapsing in his bathroom, and being whisked away to the hospital just in the nick of time. He was told he was hours from death.
Had a near-death experience where I literally almost died, and then came out the hospital, and about a month later relapsed again, and that's how I knew, like, this is a disease.
In that period, he ballooned in weight and was popping 20 pills of Vicodin and Valium a day. Shady Records' 2006 compilation album, Eminem Presents the Re-Up, flopped, and Obi Trice's Second Rounds on Me barely made a blip on the charts. Eminem's drug spiral hit rock bottom on April 11th, 2006, when his best friend and ultimate hype man, Proof, was gunned down in a Detroit nightclub. This was the final blow that knocked him flat.
I mean, I think that it was a problem when I went to rehab in 2005. And, you know, I came out and I wasn't really taking rehab serious. And I came out, I relapsed, and then, you know, the Proof thing happened, and then I kind of just went way overboard. Yeah, I just kind of lost it.
For a while, it seemed like Slim Shady had hung up his mic for good. He couldn't even muster the strength to get out of bed. To the world, it looked like Eminem was down for the count, retired in the most tragic way.
Now, I had a pretty bad case of the writer's block. I mean, not writer's block in the sense that I couldn't write anything, but writer's block in the sense of everything that I was writing was, you know, for me, I felt like it was just not up to par.
So imagine the collective jaw drop when in May of 2009, Eminem dropped Relapse. The album sold 7.5 million copies, a testament to the lingering power of his name.
You know, I actually made a call to Dre, like, yo, homie, I think I might be coming out this writer's block, because I started writing songs in my head and I had no beats to them.
Right.
And he was like, all right, that's what I want to hear. So we went there and just clicked. And then ever since then, like, that's how the Relapse concept came about. The Relapse record, like, or all the records started being recorded was that particular trip. I think we did between 8-10 songs, something like that. Okay. And once that happened, it was, you know, the ball was rolling, and then 2 albums came out of it.
But something was different. His voice, once charged with a compelling, raspy undertone, had lost its edge. The rhymes felt simpler, and his attempts to push boundaries with shock tactics came off as hollow and insincere, worsened by an awful fake accent.
Relapse is something that I looked at in a couple of years, went back to and cringed at. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I didn't even realize I was doing that many accents. I just started, for whatever reason, I just got into it and was just like, started on this weird serial killer vibe kind of thing. Yeah. And started wanting to talk crazy and started bending words more, and the only way you can bend them is with this accent, trying to use this one, like.
There were glimmers of the old Eminem, like in Beautiful, which inspired listeners to embrace who they are, and Deja Vu, which delved into his drug spiral. But the magic wasn't there. The raw, captivating energy of his earlier work had dulled. A year later, in June 2010, Eminem dropped Recovery. The album sold 15 million copies, shattered digital sales records, and spent 27 weeks in the top 10 of the Billboard 200.
I guess with every record, I try to, like, at least do something a little different than I did from the last record that I just wrote.
Recovery wasn't perfect, but marked a shift. For the first time, the lead single wasn't a goofy, Slim Shady track. Instead, Eminem tapped into raw emotion and aggression. Not Afraid was a heartfelt thank you to his fans. Spacebound and Love the Way You Lie explored broken relationships. Going Through Changes detailed his battle with drug addiction, and You're Never Over was a tribute to his fallen friend, Proof. For die-hard fans of his early work, Recovery was a letdown, but it undeniably signaled recovery.
Kids don't do drugs.
Eminem regained respect and his place at the top of the rap game. Fast forward to November 5th, 2013, when Eminem released Marshall Mathers LP2, selling 3.9 million copies. The internet went wild when he dyed his hair blonde again, hearkening back to his early days. The album didn't match the commercial success of Recovery, but received more critical acclaim, partly due to producer Rick Rubin. Some singles fell flat, but Rap God stood out, re-establishing Eminem as a top lyricist. The album explores deeper, introspective themes while revisiting the raw aggression of the original. Bad Guy continues the story of Stan, and Headlights offers a heartfelt apology to his mom, showing maturity and depth. Most tracks are strong despite some subpar hooks. However, the album isn't perfect. He has since dropped other albums collecting mixed reviews, and at the time of this video, he has also released Houdini. It's a classic M track with Dre on production and images of an old Slim, blonde hair, and a carefree attitude. The song has received a lot of attention, debuting at #1 and racking up millions of streams and views on social media and streaming services. The sampling stands out as one of the song's strongest elements. Dre chose well, finding a track that meshes perfectly with the song's feel, creating a cohesive and engaging soundscape. This decision adds a layer of nostalgia and familiarity that hooks listeners. Eminem's lyrics, however, tell a different story. It's nice that he's bringing his alter ego back, but it felt kind of mid compared to his early Slim Shady. The flow is slightly off, not glaringly so, but it's not on par with some of his better work. It lacks the effortless, razor-sharp precision that characterized his prime. But Houdini is, if anything else, extremely fun to listen to. And I would wager this is the most tasteful and satisfying compromise between his old and new work that we have ever gotten. There will always be a vocal group of people who can't stand Eminem, and I'm already seeing lots of people say this song is corny, poorly written, or annoying. A song like this and the forthcoming album will not perform well on every platform, and will probably cause a lot of controversy. But at the end of the day, that's par for the course. Over the years, Eminem has donned many personas: Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, a rap god, a criminal, a soldier, Superman, berserk, and an asshole. Yet none of these titles alone can encapsulate who he truly is. The essence of Eminem lies in the amalgamation of all these identities, constantly striving to find a balance between them. In every album, in every track, you can trace the evolution of a man grappling with his demons, his fame, his past, and his identity. Eminem's journey is one of perpetual self-discovery. From the manic, rebellious Slim Shady to the introspective Marshall Mathers, each persona is a piece of the puzzle. Whether he's on top of the charts or navigating the depths of his struggles, Eminem's authenticity remains his defining trait.